What's up guys, this is Coach Donny from Elevate Yourself, where we change lives through volleyball, training, and inspirational content. Welcome to my Volleyball Coach Reaction to HAIKYUU Season 2, Episode 15. If you're new to this channel, I'm a volleyball coach, volleyball player, and personal trainer who provides volleyball tutorials, jump training workouts, and other cool volleyball videos. You can also follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter for more content. Hinata shoyu oikawa. I've been imitating anime voices ever since I was a little kid, and that's secretly one of my dream side jobs, is to do these little voiceovers for video game characters or anime characters. So HAIKYUU creators, if you're listening, I'm available. This is a funny dynamic. I didn't notice that Aone actually is intimidating to everybody else, but I think after that game where Hinata and Karasuno beat their team, Aone actually got a newfound respect, and you just cannot dislike Hinata. He just has this contagious passion for the game, and he just goes up to you and says, "I'm gonna beat you, but I also want to train with you, and I look up to you, and can you teach me how to be better at volleyball?" So you can't really resist that. He's like a little puppy that you just cannot turn down. So I'm not surprised that Aone has a special place for Hinata in his heart. I would love to do a full video in Ushiwaka's voice, although I don't know if I can do an entire 30-40 minute reaction video in his voice. I actually think that would strain my voice because I don't have a lot of practice speaking like that. But if you guys have any other video ideas of shorter format videos where I can do Ushijima's voice, then I'd consider that. Like I said in previous videos, this is a big part of why I do like Ushijima, because he's very tall, talented, and powerful, but he doesn't seem to take that for granted. I get the vibe that he trains really hard and is always on search for the best competition. And that also goes back to the difference between confidence and arrogance. Confidence is believing in your own ability regardless of the other people around you. Arrogance requires you to put other people down in order for you to feel confident about yourself. So Ushijima definitely exudes a lot more confidence and not so much arrogance, in my opinion. Compared to the players from Joe Douchebag team, where they spent more time talking about how bad and weak some of the other teams were and how Karasuno is going to lose to them, more so than their ability to be good. Thanks for clarifying why Hinata and Kageyama listened to Yachi, who said save the feeling of hitting those spikes for tomorrow, and they didn't listen to Daichi when he told him to stop playing. Even though the message is the same, which means save your energy for tomorrow, so you need to stop playing or stop practicing, how you say it makes a big difference. And this is where the art of coaching comes in. Even though Yachi is not a coach, we can actually take a coaching lesson from this, or even a teammate lesson from this. Being a good coach is not always about giving good information, because if all the coaches were given the best information about how to teach volleyball, you would still get multiple levels of coaching, even though they have access to all the same information. The big difference maker is how that coach communicates that information, which is the key to actually motivating that player to do what you want them to do. So how you say something is just as important as what you say. And that's important to know whether you're a coach or a teammate when you're trying to motivate a player to be better. If you've been enjoying my videos, please consider supporting me on my Patreon, where you receive exclusive access to my monthly live Q&A sessions, podcasts, my private blog, behind the scenes footage, and much more. You can also support the channel by getting your own Elevate apparel like this Pride Bowl tee at the Elevate Apparel store linked below.
Now let's get this HAIKYUU party started.
That's right, the captain's meeting. They get to decide who serves and who receives. Ooh, sports goggles, that's right. That means Suki is actually taking his job more seriously. The fact that Suki admits that Compliments like that could shake his confidence. Oh, that's because his brother got it from. What a good older brother. Yeah, every good middle blocker I know has been hit in the face. So these are really important. If you do wear glasses out there, I don't recommend playing with glasses. Get sports goggles or contacts. Ooh, Joe douchebag. Cannot wait for this match. That song's really catchy. I missed that feather falling to the ground though. I kind of like that one from the previous intro. Man, first game of the qualifiers. Super excited for this tournament. I like how he's challenging Asahi to go all out. Like, don't hold back, especially if you're the main server and the main hitter. Set the tone for the team. Ooh, some good animation this season, man. Nice cover. Ooh, that was pretty cool. That's a tough move. Yahoo! That's a weird way of saying Yahoo. Yeah, I love it. He just went for it. I've done a couple of those before. Oh, kick save. That's a real move, by the way. Uh-oh. Johzenji is actually pretty good. They work hard. They're scrappy. Yeah, when you get athletes from different sports playing, it's hard to read their movements because they're not moving like typical volleyball players. But unpredictability is not a sustainable way to play. There we got the classic female team manager. Ooh, Tsuki with the sports goggles gets to test them out. And every point seems to be scored by Johzenji. Oh, it looks like they can do traditional attacks. That guy talks so weird. Okay. Oh. We got that one hand jumping save. Oh, Spider-Man. That was a pretty sick save. This move is actually illegal in high school in America, or at least in California where I coach. You can't use another object to assist you in retrieving the ball. And usually the line where you can't go past is the bench of the team, usually for safety reasons, which I think is kind of dumb because let the athlete decide what's going to be safe for them. And I know they're high school students, but you want to give people a chance to be athletic, and it makes the game more entertaining. So I wonder if this move is actually legal in high school for Japan. I actually did something similar to this at an adult tournament. I didn't jump sideways off the wall. I actually jumped upwards, so the ball was really high and close to the wall, so I took a step and kind of jumped upward to save it, kind of like a parkour move. And yes, I felt super cool doing it. And that was actually one of my fantasies as a volleyball player, is to do one of these crazy moves. My next fantasy is to dive over the bench or over those short walls that you have to keep the balls in the court, just like you see in those professional level games where they dive over and they save it. And I wonder if HAIKYUU is going to feature one of those saves as well. one hand save all the way to the baseline. He's got a group of guys that just work hard. Kageyama's killer serve. One-handed set. Oh, that was pretty sick. We got Daichi with a good pass, and Hinata showing off his... There we go. The quick attack. Too fast for them to respond. I wonder what Hinata was doing with his hands. Maybe he was trying to imitate Kageyama about feeling the set. Yeah, there you go. That's the disadvantage of not training in a traditional offense, is you don't know how to stop a traditional offense, which usually is the more effective ones. Oh, that's cool. That's one way of getting better. I love it when basketball players try out for volleyball teams, and this is when I coach both boys and girls, because they bring another level of athleticism. The agility and conditioning demands for basketball are much higher than volleyball. Not to say that you don't have to be athletic to play volleyball. It's just a different type of athleticism and a lot more technical. In volleyball, you're mainly max jumping and max sprinting, and in basketball, you're making a lot of small moves over a long period of time. So in general, basketball players tend to be a little bit more physical, and that's why basketball players end up being great middles usually. I think it's really cool that HAIKYUU featured a team that has mostly athletes from another sport that just end up playing volleyball on the side. And what makes this even more interesting is that the way this team trains is by playing 2-on-2. So that's actually the best way to help an inexperienced team catch up in their volleyball experience. You just get more people touching more balls when you're playing 2-on-2. You also get better at reading because you just have to focus on one hitter, and you end up coming with a greater variety of attacks because there's so many ways you can score on a 2-on-2 volleyball game. So I think it's very fascinating that they do have a team like this, because this is true. You will find teams where volleyball is not a priority at the school, and usually it's a bunch of athletes from other sports that just get together and have fun. But when you have a bunch of good athletes to get together, usually pretty good things happen. But there is a limit to their volleyball ability if they don't start training in traditional volleyball ways, and that's probably what we'll start seeing over the course of a game. And Tanaka. I love it. It's Itsuki's turn to shine. He's gonna do one more crazy move. Ooh, even Tanaka was caught off guard. Simplicity and fortitude. Ah, just like their game. It's a simple game. You got everyone just trying to do simple things because they're all playing and practicing 2-on-2 volleyball. Yamaguchi's got some feedback here. So maybe the source of his strength, is to just have fun and be free out there. That does lead to unconventional things like that. That's a close game. Oh, and he transitions fast. This is one concept I always emphasize as a coach, is that systems beat individuals. A system is just a structure of strategies, formations, and techniques that you train your team to apply. And the goal is that the sum of its individual parts is greater than the whole. That means that when everyone does their part within a specific system, you can actually play better than the total of the individual talent put together. In other words, if you work together as a team, you can actually beat teams with better individual talent that doesn't play as a organized team. I know that sounds easy in theory, but really hard to teach. And one thing you'll see the contrast here is that Johzenji seems to have better athletes who are more adaptable, faster, stronger, and can do all these crazy athletic things. Whereas Karasuno is training in their system. They have a specific offense that they practice and they run. They have specific defensive formations for different types of attacks. And even though they are being overwhelmed by all these unpredictable athletic attacks, they are staying committed to their system because they're trusting that their system will win over time. And that's the beauty of team sports, specifically in volleyball, is you'll see how better trained teams with less talent can actually beat teams with individual talent that don't play as well together. He's got a stern face because Kageyama's competitive. He's trying to win, not trying to have fun. Oh, what happened there? Man, Kageyama read that. It's pretty amazing. Oh, that's a funny way to end that scene. He had some blood dripping. Finally, some variation in these halftime sequences. Maybe because we got a different animation team. Don't die. Oh, that's right, we got Suga. Suga's a great second setter to have. And I love that Suga's just confident and he's like, hey, it's all good, I got this. Uh-oh, that was a long whistle. This is like a Tanaka wannabe here. It's like a nicer version of him. Wonder why Aone was offended by that play. Oh, because he's sensitive. He's standing up for his little buddy, Hinata. That's a coachable moment. Let's see what Coach Ukai says to Hinata. You actually even see this at the collegiate and professional level, where if they do sub in a new setter, sometimes they put in a different right side hitter or another outside hitter. Oftentimes in practices, you have the starters play together and the non-starters, just so the starters can build their chemistry. The side benefit of that is the non-starters start to build their chemistry, and if you bring in a backup setter, you want to pair that backup setter with another hitter that backup setter is used to setting. So this is another very realistic thing that actually happens in volleyball games. And also love that when Hinata got subbed out, he didn't pout. He just accepted what happened, he sat down, and now he's ready to move on and learn the next thing that Coach Ukai is trying to teach him. It's a good learning opportunity for Hinata. Of course, Hinata can't sit still. Yeah, always something to be better at. Ooh, there we go. There's that traditional one attack. I like that the people on the bench are getting opportunities. That's so important for team morale and team development. Oh, it's a good corner serve. Tanaka gets pissed off pretty easily, huh? I guess that's why I like him. Ooh, that's a good captain, keeping his team in check. Don't get distracted by the team celebration. Come on, Yamaguchi's got to be able to show his jump float in this game. That's funny. There we go, another one from Suga. And Saida, forgot his name. Is Suga gonna dump it? Suga version? Oh, that's funny. I love it. I think it's interesting that even the Johzenji players are fascinated by this. They don't get frustrated, they just get inspired to play better. Ooh, they're trying to do the same thing. Oh, I love it, but the fact that they tried it, that's pretty ballsy. And you don't want to experiment in a game. Experiment in practice so you know what you can do in a game. Yeah, when they're reckless and free, it's unpredictable. Unpredictable can be great or it can be terrible. Yeah, wild and free, that is a better description. Yeah, let's see what the coach's game plan is to respond. How is he managing this team of athletic, untrained individuals? Wonder why the team manager's concerned about that. Oh, we get a little backstory from even the team manager of Johzenji. Terushima. Gotta remember that name because he's probably going to show up more often. Another name to remember. That's their solution. Is fool around even more? That goes down to the coach. The coach needs to manage those players. When you have, there is a way. I gotta comment on this. It seems like Johzenji has a really special group of athletes that has a chance to grow together and play a lot over many years. And as a coach, you get excited about what you can do with a group of athletes, not just several athletes that are spread over several years. What really great individual athletes need is structure, because that's the only way they can control their athletic ability and channel it to a productive direction. The flip side is true for highly structured teams that are restricted by the system and the structure. They need to be more free in that system and take more risk. So I'm curious if this is part of the coach's development plan, just to let them explore a little bit, or if the coach is not doing a good job managing the team and letting the team do what they want. He just can't sit still. Kind of reminds me of myself. I love it. He just randomly yelling. This is what I call the Hinata effect. Everyone underestimates him and puts him down until they play against him, then they respect him. Don't give me a weird nickname. I love how Hinata just speaks matter-of-factly and calls him a nickname. Uh-oh. Oh, but the captain comes in for the save. Ooh, Daichi is just the stability of the team. And they go back and try it again. Just like that father figure. He's gonna let them be kids, but he's gonna make sure that he's there when they fall. That's a good leader. Man, even the individual characters of Johzenji are having their own flashbacks and backstories. I love it. Ooh, now they're rolling. Systems beat individuals over time. Karasuno is just a little more disciplined. I was wondering what Daichi meant by this when he said get back. I thought he was going to take the second ball, because that's what people usually do when they're not the setter and they want to set the second ball. But Daichi's making a great read here and saying don't be fooled by what they're doing. Don't try to block them on this one. We need to all pull back and play defense. And that's where on-court communication is so important. If you see something, you gotta say it, because there's something instinctual that you're reading that is usually right most of the time, and maybe your other teammates don't recognize it, so you have to communicate it, whether it's a free ball or chance ball that HAIKYUU calls it. They're gonna set the quick or the outside. So if you're a volleyball player, always communicate what you see before the opponent attacks the ball, so your team can be ready for that. Nice. And then right away, right back at the quick. They can't stop the systematic attack. Yeah, what's that team manager thinking? It's gotta be Hinata's miss. That's right, you can't just be free, you have to have technique and discipline to be consistent. Oh, he's attacking on two, that's what I mean by dump attack. Yeah, they're trying too much. Oh, this is so funny. Let's get more hyped. By the way, this is actually a very typical high school boys volleyball. Their solution to all the problems is, we gotta just try harder. We gotta get more amped. We gotta cheer more. We gotta bounce the ball. Why aren't you bouncing the ball? Why aren't you hitting harder? Even though they're hitting out or into the net or right into the block, there's no strategical change. And it's funny how the libero is saying, well, what do we do about number 10? Which is actually what the team should be thinking. They should be thinking a tactical strategy more so than just getting more hype. And this is what we call in the Bay Area hype volleyball. And you see this a lot even in adult teams, where instead of players trying to work on being better at their technique or strategy, they just try to get more hyped up. And it's more about who can make the flashiest moves more so than who can make the best volleyball plays. And now this is where I'm starting to think it's the coach's fault, not directing the team or guiding this team or even telling the team what to do in a timeout. Because they need to be talking about strategy, not so much about their energy, because their energy is fine, right? I just think it's hilarious that they even had a team like this in HAIKYUU, because this is also very real. Maybe the team manager is going to have a suggestion. And the coach is just not giving them any guidance. Mentally up and down. I wonder why they would listen to the team manager. That's rare. Unless she's also a great volleyball player and maybe they look up to her. Or maybe because she's an upperclassman and so they have to listen to her. Ooh, calling him out. I love it. I like her. Misaki's cool. Yeah, even standing up for herself against the coach. A verbal spanking. They can play free because they're disciplined. Discipline is freedom. Yeah, that's right. Competing is not always about having fun. It's about working hard even when you don't want to. Oh my gosh, so funny. So funny, so good. Wow, this entire episode was just one set? Here's my immediate reaction to episode 15. I'm actually fascinated with Johzenji, not because I think they're a great volleyball team, because they exemplify what a lot of high school and adult teams try to do, which is focus more on looking cool than being good. I always tell my players that good volleyball should actually look pretty boring. If you want to be a good passer, you have to have very straightforward and simple moves, like set the angle and hold your platform. That looks a lot more boring than breaking away your platform or kind of breaking it and curving it all the time. If you want to be a good setter, it's about focusing on consistent location and tempo towards your most effective hitter. It's not always about being the most deceptive or making the most impossible set that you can make. When you're hitting, you need to have a simple and fast arm swing, not this huge crazy windup or crazy multi-directional wrist snap. Just put your arm up early and point away from the block. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, if the coach doesn't manage the group very well, most high school athletes, especially for the boys, will make it all about the hype. Most high school athletes are just trying to look cool because they're more concerned about their social status more so than being an effective volleyball player. And you actually see some adult teams do this too, where they're more concerned about making the flashy plays and looking cool on the court than making the simple, effective plays. So, if you want to be a great volleyball player, and especially if you're a young athlete, you cannot worry about looking cool. You have to think about what's the most effective way to execute a skill and eventually score a point. That might not score you a lot of social points, but that's going to score you a lot of volleyball points. And once you become a great volleyball player, people cannot argue with the results. I thought it was super cute that Aone was standing up for Hinata when his team was saying something bad about Hinata. One thing I noticed is that Hinata also found a way to connect with Kenma, who very few people can connect with. And the same thing with Aone. It seems like his team doesn't really hear him speak that often unless it's about Hinata. I'm curious who else Hinata is going to connect with from another team. I wish that Coach Ukai kept the backup setter and other middle on the court because they ended up helping the team win. So I personally feel as a coach that he should have started them because they earned that opportunity. They played well toward the end and they helped them win. And in terms of team culture and development, that accomplishes two things. That communicates to your team that everyone has an equal opportunity to earn playing time, which will motivate everyone to work hard when they see that, wow, that could be me out there. And it also helps push your regular starters even more, knowing that someone else can take their spot at any moment. So if I were the coach of that team at that moment, that's what I would have done. I really like that scene where Daichi was covering Kageyama and Hinata when they were trying to run their quick plays. And he pretty much said, hey, I got your back. And I might not be able to do the super athletic things that you guys do, but I can be a stable foundation for you guys to be athletic and succeed. It reminds me a lot of how I view myself on my teams. I'm not the best passer on my team, the best hitter, the best setter, definitely not the best blocker, probably the weakest blocker on my team. Now for serving, I do think I'm the best server on my team. So my job is to try to do all those skills at a decent level and to be as consistent as possible, both in my style of play and my energy, to empower the more powerful hitters like Chris, our opposite, to allow our best passer, Brant, who's also our libero, make his crazy defensive reads while I cover him in the back, and try to not do too much on blocking so I can allow our middle blockers, who are much better at blocking, take most of the blocks, and I'm there just to get some good positioning and not try to reach too much. Now, it's not to say that I don't try to be better at passing, blocking, and hitting, but I just know my physical capabilities, and my main focus is just to make my teammates better, which is why I love Daichi and why he's such a great team captain for Karasuno. I'm looking forward to seeing how the second set turns out. I'm pretty sure that Karasuno is going to win, but what I'm more interested in seeing is how Johzenji is going to react to that loss. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll see you in the next episode.